Good morning, All Souls Community Church. It's Thursday, August the 6th, and I have a question for you. Do you know where I am? It might look a little familiar to you. Let me see if I can help you out a little bit here. And just show you a little something that maybe you haven't seen in quite some time. That's right. I'm right in front of our church right now, which is why you can hear a whole bunch of cars going by and why you can see them going by now. I'm in front of our church. Why am I here? Well, because this week we've been talking a whole lot about fear. And fear is one of those things that oftentimes creeps up inside of us that we don't know, we don't see it, we don't necessarily recognize it as fear, but we see the fruit of fear. So while we don't know the root, we see the fruit all the time. And one of the things that is undoubtedly on all of our minds is this notion of re-entry, whether it's to church or to school or to work. And what God wants us to really lean into is what does it look like for us to not enter into the entering in process by fear? How are we not gripped by fears? We think about things that are outside of our control, things like coronavirus, right? Things like family members getting sick, things like getting sick ourselves and then getting others who we love sick, or the school opening and then closing, or how am I going to make sense of when the schools are open but only halfway and I've got to go to work, and what does that look like? And I start to pull my hair out and start to go crazy, right? Well, that anxiety, that fear, that anger, that adrenaline, all of those things are pointing inward to something called fear. And that fear is rooted deeply in identity statements, rooted deeply in lies that we've believed about ourselves. But one of the things that I think God wants us to see about fear is that fear is deeply rooted in a mistrust of who He is. Isaiah 26:3 says this: God keeps him or her in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on Him because we trust in Him. Let me translate that for you a second. God says that we will not live by fear, but have perfect peace when our minds are stayed on, they are focused on, laser focused on Him because we trust Him. When is it going to be easiest for us to experience that peace and feel that trust? The answer is when the world around us is already in our control. And we say, yes, I trust God, but what we really mean is, I trust me. I've put myself in God's place. I've put myself in the position of needing to be in control, or without even thinking that way, I act as though I have to be in control. And so when I am in control, I feel at peace. And when I'm not in control, I feel like the world is crumbling down around me, right? You know what I'm talking about. And so as we enter into and begin to consider things that every one of them is out of our control. That's what's so crazy about coronavirus. It's so outside of our control. The doctors still struggle to understand it, still struggle to know how to fix it, how to address it, how to stop it from spreading. It's spreading over here, and then now it's not spreading over there, now it's spreading over there. It's so out of our control, and that's the issue. That's the issue for our hearts. Listen, I'm thankful for doctors. I'm thankful for researchers. I'm thankful for those that are spending lots of time and energy to try to help us understand this coronavirus. But God has always been about getting us to understand a much deeper virus than corona. It's called sin. It has infected our hearts, and it has caused us to live our lives as though we are in control. We must be in control, because the only one who's going to, at the end of the day, look out for me, the only one who's actually going to care for me best, the only one that I can trust is me. But when I'm not in control, when it is out of my control, when I've already betrayed myself by trying hard and failing, then what? Well, that's when God shows us that He's not simply a power who's in control. He's not simply a king who demands respect. Our God is our dad. And He wants us to know peace like we've never known before, which is one of the reasons why He says He allows us to enter into these seasons of struggle, because it's in the wilderness that we learn to live by and trust His word. that man does not live by bread alone, by the things that we can touch and fill our bellies with, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of God, that our God is for us, that he loves us, and that he will keep us in peace, even and especially when we cannot. And so the invitation today, as we are still in this week of looking specifically about fear, overcoming fear, the invitation today is to see how it's wed to a lack of trust, and to understand the promise that God makes that he will keep us in perfect peace. He's going to keep us. I don't have to work harder to do it. He's going to keep us in perfect peace when our minds are stayed on him. What have you been thinking about already this morning? What have you been thinking about already today? Where has your mind gone? What has distracted you? Today, God wants you to take the risk, and it is no risk at all, but he wants you to take the risk to stop looking in the mirror and to start looking at him. For he alone can keep you and wants to keep you in perfect peace, no matter what is going on. And my friends, so much of this world, in fact, all of it, is outside of our control and inside of his. He's our dad. He loves us, and he wants your best. Won't you trust him this day? I pray that you will. God be with you.